Now we're going to the Lady Marigold studio here at Abbotsford to hear a recital by Daniel Nistico, a guitar recital. Daniel completed his Bachelor of Music at the Victorian College of the Arts and Master of Music at the Melbourne Conservatorium of Music. He completed his Doctor of Musical Arts at the Eastman School of Music in Rochester, New York, United States of America. In 2021, Daniel launched an online school called The Creative Classical Guitarist, which gives guitarists a platform for their creativity to grow and shine. Now, this recital is going to be in two parts, and Daniel's going to perform works by Melbourne composers as well. But in the first half, there's going to be a Chopin Nocturne in an arrangement by Francisco Tarrega, and then Dusk by Melbourne composer Rick Alexander. So let's cross now to our performance studio and hear the music of Daniel Nistico guitar. We're listening to a recital from the Lady Marigold studios here at 3MBS, a radiothon live to air featuring guitarist Daniel Nistico. And he played an arrangement by Francisco Tarrega of Chopin's Nocturne No. 2, Opus 9, and also Melbourne composer Rick Alexander, a little composition called Dusk. And we're going to return to Daniel in just a moment, and he's going to play three more short pieces, including Bach again. Bach for the first time, and then two more Melbourne composers coming up. 3MBS, it's now 5:15. We're listening to a special radiothon live to air recital featuring guitarist Daniel Nistico, and we return to our Lady Marigold studio for the second half of our recital. And these are three pieces that Daniel will play for us. A Bach prelude from the suite. It's listed as the prelude of all preludes, this one. And the Mazurka in D minor by Melbourne composer Brittany Lum, and Wipe Every Tear by also Melbourne composer Ruyg. And we now cross to the studio and hear guitarist Daniel Nistico. A Radiothon live to air recital featured guitarist Daniel Nistico, and he played finally in his program the Prelude from the Suite by J.S. Bach, the Mazurka in D minor by Brittany Lum, Melbourne composer, and finally Wipe Every Tear by Melbourne composer again, Clinton Ruyg. Now, Daniel's going to come into the studio. We're going to have a little bit of a discussion and a talk, and as a matter of fact, he's here now. But we'll do something first before we actually talk to him. We'll get him to catch his breath before he sits down. I'd like to thank Diane from Croydon Hills, who's become a passionate subscriber. Diane loves everything about 3MBS and listens a lot, especially in the car, which is wonderful. Thank you, Diane, and welcome back if you're resubscribing. It's 25 minutes past 5. I'm Peter Bandy, about to talk to Daniel Nistico about his guitar and about his life in general. And this is Intermezzo on 3MBS, and you're listening to Peter Bandy, and we go through till 7 o'clock tonight. Daniel Nistico has just given us a wonderful recital. Daniel, welcome.
Thank you. It's so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's wonderful to have you here and to listen to your playing, not only your technique on the guitar and the sound that we managed to get out of the studio was excellent, but I think your musicianship came through really well, and I've already heard comments from people in the studio and in the building about how wonderful your music and playing was.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm very blessed to have such beautiful music to play, and it's a great studio to play in as well. Really beautiful acoustics and great engineer behind it too. So
Joe, we better thank Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Joe's first class, isn't he?
Yep.
And also he's a very pleasant guy as well too. I'm talking about our sound engineer, Joe Goffrin, who did a wonderful job. Now listen, let's go back to the beginning. Your dad had a lot to do with you playing the guitar and kept you up till all hours when you were quite young.
Well, yeah, he didn't force me. I was wanting to stay up and learn the songs that he was playing on the guitar. He was playing pretty seriously classical guitar at home, and I was hearing all those tunes, and I just wanted to learn them. And I had the most direct path to do that, which was him. So he just showed me how to do it. And after a few pieces, though, he said I needed to learn to read notation, which was a huge stumbling block for me. So I, locked myself in a room and got one of those charts out, and every note, one note at a time, I pieced together the pieces that I wanted to play.
And how old were you when you actually started thinking that you should start to read music? How old were you?
I was probably about 14.
Okay, yeah,
maybe?
that's quite late, isn't it? Really, in a way, but you've obviously caught up.
Yeah, well, that was one of those experiences that kind of forced me to really work on it, and
sure.
So yeah.
Who were your gurus when you were growing up? Your favourite classical guitarists?
Well, we used to listen to John Williams in the car and on the tapes.
Yes.
Karen Sharp is a great Australian guitarist as well. Slava Gregorian, Leonard Gregorian. So I grew up with them, Julian Bream and Segovia. So all the sort of, I guess, the Australian classics, and also the big titans, Bream and Segovia and Williams.
Gosh, I remember years and years ago playing Julian Bream on the ABC a long time ago. Yeah. And so he's been around a long time. Yeah. John Williams has been around a long time. But
right.
You just about mentioned, you put Segovia in there too, didn't you?
Yeah.
You've just about mentioned them all.
Yeah.
Really. And Karen Sharp, of course. Yeah, that's wonderful. So these people have influenced you, but you're educated and brought up in Melbourne, but you also did your doctorate at the Eastman School in New York.
Yep.
That must have been a fabulous experience.
That was a great experience. A big change. That was a big move from little Melbourne all the way to the USA. So, so it was really great. I got to study with Nicholas Galusis, who's there, but also Paul Odette, who's a very well-known lute and an early plucked string instrument player, lutes and theorbos, and so he's probably one of the leading figures of early music. Paul Odette. So I got to study with him, and that was really phenomenal. Yeah.
What would you like to do? What's your goal in the future? Do you want to be a solo recitalist and tour the world and do the John Williams thing, or do you want to join a rock band and play rock as well, like John Williams did?
I would like to perform, but at the moment I do have the online school, the Creative Classical Guitarist, where some of the music I played today was composed through the education of that, and I'd like to give that more exposure. I think it's just really unfortunately, with the classical guitar, the idea of composing or arranging for the instrument is very we're very hesitant. We tend to be very hesitant about it. So I want to kind of just open that up for a lot more guitarists to embrace it. And when they do, beautiful things happen, I think, hopefully as you heard it. And just like to share that around.
You
more.
played 3 Melbourne composers today. I gather they're quite young.
They're all. Ruyg is probably the older one. Is more experienced. Ruyg Alexander, but Brittany and Clinton are about younger, around about my age. But they haven't been composing long, only a couple of years, which is the case for most of the guitarists who are learning to compose. They're very new at it, but even their first compositions are sometimes pretty incredible. So
it's great that you're supporting them and actually playing their music.
Yeah.
Now, listen, if we asked you to come here again and play for us again, would you do it?
Oh yeah, I'd love to.
I gather this is your first time.
No, I've been here. It's been a while. When I studied at the VCA, Victorian College of the Arts, we used to come here quite often, maybe once or twice a year. The guitar department, and we'd have a good time in the studio here.
But that's the first time since you're now Dr. Nistico.
It's the first time since, I think it is, yeah. So,
well, you'll have to come back again.
I'd love to.
Daniel, it's a pleasure to meet you and to hear you play.
You too.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Thanks to all listeners too. Thank you.
Good, all the best.